Mrs. Roy, first of all, I just want to thank you for meeting with me today. I know that we were supposed to be scheduled for 3:30, but now it's 3:45. But busy school day, things happen.
That's okay.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to make it.
Sure.
So first of all, let me just tell you that we're always glad to have you here. Everybody really looks up to you in terms of being a veteran. You've been here for a while. Everybody knows who you are. Everybody has, a certain level of respect for you and admiration for you. And I got to tell you that, what you do with PTA, I think is very, it's a lot of responsibility, and I think you do a very good job of handling that. And your role with them is I know it takes a lot of work and collaboration, and really appreciate what you do for the campus.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I wanted to bring you here, though, because some concerns were raised recently from a couple of groups of people, as a matter of fact. We had some students kind of speak up and mention some issues. We had some parents do the same. And finally, we had even some other teachers just come up and express some concerns from some interactions with you. So all three, when I looked at all three, it appears that the issue is just that you have not you have, I don't mean it that way, but there are some communication issues that seem to be present within those relationships. So I wanted to ask you first, were you aware of any kind of communication gap between any of these groups of people, between your students or parents or no?
No, nothing's been brought to my attention.
Okay. Well, hearing that there's an issue, how does that even make you feel?
I try to work hard. I try to make sure that my students are achieving, have a lot of respect for the profession. It actually saddens me because that's not how I would like to be, characterized.
I totally understand that. I would be saddened as well. And I have to tell you that even I was surprised to even hear these things come up. So most definitely I understand where you would feel that. Well, my second question would be, what kind of events have happened recently where any of these groups of people could even feel this way?
I can't put my finger on any certain events with my teammates or events with students or events with parents. I have routine communication with all of those groups. So, as I stated, I'm pretty surprised and saddened that this has actually happened, or that it came to your attention that there seem to be communication issues with those groups. I can't put my finger on any one incident that's happened.
Okay, well, what is your normal relationship with, let's just start with the students. So let's start with that. What is your normal relationship with the students?
From day one, I try to establish that mutual respect. As you know, and your leadership team knows, there aren't very many students from my class that come to the office. Because I think we have established a relationship, a healthy rapport, like I said, that mutual respect. Day one, they come in, they kind of, I have them do an interest inventory, try to figure out what they're interested in, the things that they like to do. I've got football players, cheerleaders, honor society students in my classroom. I don't attend all those events, but I do try to be visible with my students and, maintain that relationship. So I do go to some of their events. I think I have a healthy rapport with my kids.
So thus far, so when dealing with your students, you're saying that you pretty much have a healthy level of respect, or I guess kind of a mutual respect, you would say. You attend some of their events. You have done an interest inventory so to figure out more about them. How do you use that information to build relationships with the students?
If there's anything that I can relate to the things they like within the curriculum, I try to do that. If I have to make up word problems, then I'll put it as yards in football, or I can't do it all the time, so it's not done 100%. But if I can relate their interest to the content, I try to do that.
Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. Um, well, wow. So with that being said, you seem to have taken an opportunity or taken some opportunities, whatever was available to you, obviously, to get to know your students, to relate to them in any way. Um, how could that result in there being a communication problem, though?
You know, I was reflecting as you were speaking, and I'm trying to find a common thread between these groups. I think all of them would say that I had really high expectations for the students, and that I'm all about student achievement. I'm about business, and I stay focused. So, if anything, I would think that maybe some of those people would think that was a little abrupt. I have conversations with the students, most of them tied to business, curriculum, achievement. Success. So I guess I could weave more into, the personal conversations, the building the rapport, maintaining that. I think it's developed for sure, but maintaining that. I mean, it's perfectly fine to talk about, something other than content with the people in those three groups. So, I mean, even the groups of parents, I don't know, it may be a group, it may be an individual that's brought something to your attention. I have routine communication with parents. I see them at some of those events. Sometimes I have to email them, or like you expect us to use the Skyward program, I can shoot out an email, a blanket one, but can shoot out an email to parents to have that communication with them. And most of those are, to the point. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Most of those are to the point and are about school,
Mm-hmm.
school. Um, so maybe I can, I've been here a long time at Gator High, so having conversations with parents about former students could be something that I do, not just focus on, we got a project due, it's due on the 2nd, make sure it's not late, so I could still, talk about something, like I say, other than content. Same thing with my teammates. I mean, we have planning sessions every week. I attend those. I am there faithfully every week. It's a part of my routine. But if there are team building activities after, or if we plan late and there's an early dinner, I'm usually not present for those. I'm present for the planning, and then I excuse myself afterwards. So even maintaining the relationships with them, with my peers, by attending some of the team building functions, I think that would be a positive way to address what you've heard.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was a big answer. Well, so what I heard you say was that with your students and sometimes with your, well, I guess kind of with your parents and well, all three. Mm-hmm. So with your students, parents, and your teammates, a lot of the times you do seem to have a business first type attitude and really just want to take care of your business. So you think that maybe the abruptness that results from that maybe rub some people the wrong way?
Well, though it's not my intent, if, I only talk about the business, the professional side of things, and maybe some people do find that abrasive, but surely not my intent. But in just listening to you, I could see where they may feel that that's the case.
So what steps can you take then? I mean, so I think that all three stakeholders, all three groups of people can pretty much clearly see that you are results oriented. You're focused on business. You want to get things done. You want to see success. You want to see results, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. What steps can you take moving forward to maybe put more of a personal touch or something that will help close the communication gap, the perceived communication gap between you all?
Sure. Well, in just brainstorming, and of course I welcome any feedback that you have as well, but with my students, I mean, and I've done this for years upon years, I guess it's been scarce the past couple of years, but I can surely stand outside the door and make sure they're welcome. I think I do due diligence to make sure it's a safe environment physically, but going back and making that a priority emotionally too. Just when they come in, making sure that, we high five. I'll welcome them to class that day, kind of get them excited about what's going on, make them feel, like I said, welcome, a part of the group. Again, talking to them about things that may not have to do with those word problems that I spoke about. When a student comes in and they earn a test score that's maybe a little different than what they have routinely, just to say, hey, just wanted to check in with you. This grade isn't really characteristic of how you normally perform in class. Is everything okay? Do you need anything from me? So, it's one thing to grade, do reteach and a redo, and then be done with it. But just to check in and see if there's any other ways I can support.
Awesome. Those sound like great goals. I think it sounds like a good idea. Well, okay.
I
Um,
guess you want me to do parents next, and then my team. Just, I guess, brainstorm ideas.
sure. I
Um,
mean, it sounds to me that starting with your students, I think that's a great idea. Just to inject some more, just kind of a personal touch. It sounds right to me. How could you do that with your parents and your team?
um, just to piggyback, because I have a student in mind, like I mentioned, the earning a failing grade and then the reteach and the redo. Maybe just connect with the parent to say, hey, I know this is not characteristic of, your child. Here's the plan, to let them know that it wasn't just you failed, I retaught it, you retested, and we're done. Maybe just to shoot them an email or even call and just say, this is not really characteristic of your student. So this is the plan that we have in place. I welcome feedback. Have you noticed anything? Do you need support from me?
Mm-hmm.
And if there are a trail of those grades, not just to have them be overwhelmingly surprised when a report card or a progress report come out, or I guess when they check those grades on Skyward, just be, a communicator in the way of, this is the grade that's coming home. Again, I know it's not characteristic of him or her, but here's how I plan to address it. Just let them know that I have a plan for success, not just fail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I can tell them about ways I plan to intervene.
So as far as your parents go, then we're talking about just, I guess, more elaborate communication. Mm-hmm. So you've already communicated with them. You've talked to them about, when their kids are failing or what has happened, that they're about to fail. But you sound as though you want to put more of a personal touch on it, or maybe just elaborate even more, just kind of give a more detailed breakdown and even offer support.
Mm-hmm. I can do that.
Okay. Well, what about your teammates? What do you think about what steps can you take to, close whatever perceived gap may be there?
I've been here a long time. I love my team. They're a great group. And I don't want that to be the perception. Like I said, we have planning, and if there's team building at the end or a dinner, I normally don't attend those things. I can definitely put forth extra effort to stay for the team building activities. I'm currently serving as a mentor for a new teacher, and everything speaks. So I wouldn't want her, to think that you just come for the planning part and then you leave. That's been the way that I've done things here lately, but definitely want to communicate to the new teacher that maybe that's not how. It's perfectly fine to team build. There's some business and then there's some fun if you're truly going to, remain a part of the Gator team and our content team. It's perfectly fine within the department to have relationships other than discussing curriculum. So I can definitely make myself available for team building, or even coordinate those myself. Maybe the team would be happy if I came up with one thing to attend, but another to kind of brainstorm an idea. So maybe if I coordinated an activity for us, maybe that would let them know that I'm truly wanting to maintain a healthy relationship with them also.
Oh, that's an interesting step. So with your team, you would kind of do more of the personal touches. You would maybe even coordinate some of the events.
Sure.
How about that? And just try to show yourself to be more of a team-oriented person.
Because I want to support my team, and they've been a great support system for me. So.
So, and I like that you brought in your mentee. I think that's a good idea. It's nice to set an example. So that kind of leads into my other question. My other two questions, actually. So, knowing what you know now, knowing how long you've been with us, how much you want to be a good team person, how much you want to connect with your students and your parents and your team, what is your timeline for trying to address this issue?
I think that everything implemented with fidelity. I read the research somewhere, this was years ago, but for every perceived negative interaction that you have to have 7 to 10 positive ones. So my goal with students especially, those are the ones that I'm probably going to see out of these groups, probably see before anybody else. That starts tomorrow. Just being present and visible, standing outside the door, like I said, welcoming them into class. With my group, we have planning every week. So I could definitely put those things into place on a regular basis with them every week, coordinating some of those activities like I mentioned. And then with parents, just to send an email to them, just kind of saying, oh, because Christmas break's coming up soon, just kind of saying, oh, I hope everybody has a restful break. If you're traveling, safe travels. I look forward to seeing the kids in January when they return. So just another message to them that has nothing to do with curriculum, but everything about, being ready for the next semester and getting fired up to see the students again.
That's excellent. I think that's a good idea. Well, is there anybody, this was the second part of my question, is there anyone you can call on to help you? Do you need any assistance with this from anyone else?
I definitely feel supported by our campus administration team. So I know if I need anything, y'all have proven that you're approachable and visible too and have an open door. So I know that I can come to y'all, but there's also, I have a fabulous team leader on my team. So I'm sure that if I needed anything, she'd be there to support. So I can't think of anything I need right now, but I'll be kind of touching base with my team leader just to see how the perception is now. Not in a way that would be contentious or just, is there anything that you've noticed about, do you see any changes as far as relating to these groups? I feel like that would be a conversation that we could have.
So moving forward then, it sounds like the way you'll proceed is that beginning tomorrow in some cases, you'll be outside for your students. You'll connect with them more on a personal level. You'll shake hands. You'll smile, etc., etc. That sounds great. And then in terms of, enlisting the help of other people, you'll be talking to your team leader a lot more. And I think it's great that you will come to us as well, because you know that, as you already said, we'll support you any way we can. I think that's great. Well, all right. These sounds like great goals, Ms. Roy. I guess to more or less conclude, I have one more question.
Okay.
And I just want to know what you think improvement will look like. How will you know that there'll be improvement once you set everything into motion?
And that's the reason why I guess I wanted to speak with my team leader as well. And again, not to breed any contention or anything, but just to approach and say, I'm coming up, I'm developing this idea for a team building opportunity. I think feedback from my peers on those things, or the amount of attendance that I have at some of the ones that I develop, would speak. Also, I am not above, your administration team, I am not above you coming into the classroom, kind of seeing the exchanges that I have with those students through walkthroughs. I think that kids, they know your heart, and they don't act. They just are in the classroom. So if one of the administrators were able to come in and do a walkthrough, just kind of observe the relationship, or some of the things that I said I would put into action to see those take place, I think would be a great gauge on how things are going as well.
Awesome.
Also, with the parents, since I am a liaison with the PTA, I'll be getting in contact with them, more routinely too, and just asking for their feedback on things. I think it's a great, I'm a parent. I know when I drop my child off, I think it's a great atmosphere. It's physically safe. It's emotionally safe. And it makes it easier to leave your kid somewhere all day when they're in a sound environment. I want that for my students' parents. So in those PTA meetings, I'll just be checking with them to say, how do you feel that teachers could improve? I won't name myself. But how do you feel that teachers could improve in relationships with their students? I would bring their feedback. If you would like for me to, not just with my team, but at a faculty meeting, just kind of let everybody know what the temperament was when I brought that up, in ways that the parents think that we can maintain those relationships. Anything that you need me to do, I'll be more than happy.
Well, that's excellent. That just sounds great. So it sounds like you have some goals now. It sounds like you have a plan in place. And I guess in the end, well, not I guess, but it seems pretty clear you know what it'll look like in the end if everything goes right. Well, as you've already expressed this several times during our meeting here, but I just want to clarify that, yes, indeed, the goals, some of the aims and goals of Gator High School is, yes, to have these type of relationships with all of these three groups, your students, your parents, and of course your fellow colleagues. So we want to have that respect that you talked about. We want to have that. We do want to have that personal touch that may have been missing here, as we've established here. And I really think that the things you've talked about probably is a good path to get those things in place, and hopefully close whatever the situation is, which again I do agree is surprising. All right. Well, I tell you what we're going to do. Again, thank you for meeting with me. What I'm going to do now is, I've been taking a little bit of notes here when my pen didn't mess up. But I've been taking a little bit of notes here, and I'm going to summarize these notes. So I'm just gonna summarize this, put this all together in a little brief page-long kind of memorandum, kind of a summary. And I just want it to be kind of documentation that we've had this conversation and what specifically we talked about, what the issue was at hand, how you felt about the issue, what kind of steps you're going to take to try to address the issue, the goals moving forward from that issue, and then, of course, last, what it looks like moving forward. And
Sure.
and I do want to follow up with this situation, just to make sure that everything is going the way you want it, and that if, of course, to offer my support as we talked about, and if you need any more support, of course, I'm happy to give it to you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for me?
When I hear summary or memorandum, I think like disciplinary action. As far as I know, we're making the transition from PDOS to T-test, but I think write up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what would result from a meeting like this?
No, not this meeting. This is, again, I'm surprised like you are. This is the first time I've ever heard of this, but it is an issue that we need to address. We need to figure out what the issue is, and we need to find out how we can resolve it. And so I just want to make sure that it is documented that these issues did come up from other people, but it's not a write-up. I wouldn't count it as a write-up or as a discipline issue because it's the first time it's come up. But I do want to document for posterity. I want us to understand. I wanted to be clear in this meeting what the goals are, what the expectations are here at Garrett High School, and I want to be sure that you're able to meet those expectations at all times, always. So to answer your question very simply, no, it's not a disciplinary action, but it is just one stepping stone just to make sure that we're following through and that we're helping you achieve your goals as you've set them in this meeting, which I'm very grateful for us to have. So does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
And thank you for the opportunity to make these things, to increase in the areas that I do need to. So I'm looking forward to it, continuing to develop. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, excellent. Well, so what we'll do then, you say you'll start tomorrow with some of your goals. I think that's a great idea. So just go ahead and get that going and just let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. I will send you an invitation and outlook for us to have another meeting like this in about 2 more weeks. And we'll talk about the goals you said and some of the steps you want to take to try to address the issue. And we'll just go over them and just make sure that everything's okay. And we'll see if there's any improvement.
Thank you.
All right? Well, thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.